Welcome to Oscar Sunday. I'm Austin Johnson.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
And today we are going to be talking about the most successful box office film of all time, Avatar in 2009, James Cameron. Big Jim, the legend himself. He's, his new film, Avatar Way of Water, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Is out now. You can probably tell already. I'm not very jazzed about these movies. I probably won't see the new one in theaters or maybe ever. I just don't really care. I like James Cameron. I like some of his movies. Some of them, some of them I leave over there. But I guess he's a hit or miss filmmaker for me. But he's obviously super successful. Guy behind massive movies, some movies that we like Aliens is a movie we really care about, and we feel that he provided one of the best sequels of all time there. He has movies like Titanic, which also made a shit ton of money and broke records at the time, and then he broke his own record with Avatar. So obviously he's a household name, and we haven't really ever talked about him on this podcast. I don't think so. This is new territory, kind of, but also not like our favorite territory for him. I don't know. You got to see the new film, the second one, today. We're recording on Saturday night. You got to see that earlier. What are your general thoughts without, spoiling it? Which there's never too much to spoil because there's no fucking story. It's just like bad guys, good guys. All right. It's just kind of really simple. Like a 5-year-old could catch on to what's going on.
Yeah, true. Okay, so let me start out by saying it's good.
That's good. Good to hear.
I don't think it was worth a 13-year wait. I feel like the technology that Cameron insisted be perfected didn't look all that different from the technology in 2009's Avatar. Like, I feel like it's a compulsion with him, but it's a better story. The characters pop better. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there's a giant character moment that does not get resolved. That I thought, maybe he's saving that for part 3. But I was like, yeah, that's a good question. Who is that person's parent? It's like, oh, I guess we're not going to find out. Okay. It's very much a Save the Whales movie. Like, if the first one was Save the Trees, this one's Save the Whales.
Yeah, nice.
And it's actually, the whale is probably my favorite character because he's like got personality and he's like an outcast and he's
nice,
like fighting for something, but it's also, just a fucking whale.
Just a massive whale.
It turns into Free Willy for about an hour and a half. It's weird. There's a lot of different movies happening in here.
Interesting.
It's, for 3 hours and 10 minutes, it was good. I fell asleep watching the first Avatar for this podcast yesterday. I had to get up, get some caffeine, regroup, go back in, which I have never had to do in any film we've ever covered on this show. Faces, I sat all the way through. Avatar put me to sleep.
That's an interesting kind of project. Like, what movies have I had to break up? This is definitely the one that comes to mind. I had to split it up. I watched half of it on Wednesday night, and the other half on Thursday night. It's like 2.5 hours, the first one. So the fact that this second one is 3 hours, I have, from everybody I've talked to that has seen it, including you, they have said it is better than the first one, and it is a little bit more engaging, a little bit more impressive as far as what they're going for. And people have said the kind of second hour that like takes place in the water a lot is pretty interesting. So I don't know. I think. Go ahead.
It's a rehash of the first movie. It's Jake having to learn the ways of the forest people, and then now his family has to learn the ways of the water people. But it's the same thing.
Yeah. Well, because there's no one cares. That's like in the writing room. No one cares. That's like writing the screenplay. No one gives a shit.
I read about his process. Apparently, he's got 2, 3, 4, and 5 happening all at the same time, which is ambitious and incredibly egotistical. That he thinks Avatar is God's gift to cinema, and I would like him to stop. But he wrote 2, and he's got a guy working on 3. He's got someone else working on 4 and 5, and then they all come together and make sure no one's stepping on anybody.
Yeah, that's just a fucking headache, you know.
Right.
Obviously the gravity that these movies have is the visual aspects of it, of course. And that's why people, when it came out in '09, I was one of those people too. When I saw it in theaters, it was half my life ago. I was 14.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. You know, it was that kind of attitude. And that's the attitude everybody had seeing that movie. And it was one of those, you have to go see it in theaters because it's so visually captivating. It's not going to work the same at home. And with that being said, it's probably the same case for the second one because that's what it is. It's a visual, you know, it's CGI out the wazoo. It looks like a video game. So if you're not seeing it on a giant screen, you might as well skip it. Like, you know, I don't know. It's going to be on Disney Plus at some point, like later down the road.
No, pretty soon. There's already a page for it.
Jeez, already?
Yeah, I say give it a month.
Yeah, so there you go. And like, I might watch it. I might. That's a big word there for me when it comes to Avatar. So well, I don't know. I just don't really care, man. Like I the past 13 years, I just haven't been like having these amazing conversations about Avatar. And the fact that this movie started production in 2017, you know, it took 5 years to get this motherfucker out into the theaters, is like, you better blow my mind. This better be one of the greatest movies ever known to man if it's going to take that long. And that's not just, you know, the conceptualization of the movie. It's filming and making the movie and generating everything that needs to happen. So that I just know. I don't know. That's just like not my thing. If a movie's going to take that long, it better be awesome. It better be rivaling some of the greatest movies of all time. And I just don't see that being the case.
I've got a few points. One, this is the guy who gave us the Terminator and Aliens and T2 and True Lies. Like, James Cameron was one of the greatest filmmakers on earth. Like, the movies he was making were revolutionary, were incredible, were timeless.
Yeah.
And then a switch got flipped, and he's just been all in on alien cats for quite some time.
Yeah.
Another point, I realized this watching Avatar last night, like, it's the highest grossing film of all time, but it has had zero effect on popular culture, which is crazy. I mean, number 2, Avengers Endgame, we're still talking about that. We just did an episode not too long ago where we're still as excited today as we were then.
Yeah.
So how do you make that kind of money and then disappear for 13 years and come back and act like you've always been here? It's weird.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Obviously it's a movie that like everybody's just seen in some way, even if you were, you know, say 5 years old in 2009. As you've gotten older, probably chances are at some point you watched Avatar just because that's just the way it is. But your point about it not being like an impact on pop culture is it's no fun to talk about. It's zero fun to talk about because nothing happens. Like, it's just the most boring story that I can think of when it comes to these massive movies. You know, some of the other movies that are on that list, you know, Endgame, Infinity War, you know, like Deathly Hallows Part 2, Top Gun Maverick, you know, even Joker crossed the $1 billion threshold. Like, those movies are generally fun to talk about, and there's content within that is enjoyable to dig into. With Avatar, it's basically just that looked cool. if that's as far as the conversation goes, I just don't really care. You're never really talking about Jake Sully. You're never like, whoa, what a cool character. Sam Worthington, like, sorry, buddy, but like, if that's the guy that's carrying this movie that you want to live forever, it's not going to live forever, my man. It just ain't. It just ain't. Like Worthington has proven over the past 10 years, like he's just not worth the price of admission. It is the visual effects. That's it. So it's this experience thing. It's like taking a drug, and like once you're done with it, you're done with it, and you move on, and like that, and that's that. So I don't know, man. I love talking about movies. I love discourse. I love, what does this movie mean? What did the filmmaker mean by that? You're never questioning what this movie means. It's a white savior movie, like point blank, period. That's just what it is. And I never am wondering what happened or what the decisions were. It's so obvious. It really is a movie that I like a 5-year-old could follow and be like, oh yeah, this is what's going on. And that's not a bad thing. I think some kids movies are great. Some Pixar and Disney stuff. But if you're going for this and you're trying to make this PG-13 kind of a mature adult movie that people are going to talk about forever, this is just not really the way to do it in my eyes.
Well, it's not just that. It's also the fact that like the people who do love this movie, they don't act like it's, an exciting sci-fi movie that they love. They act like it's the greatest film of all time, and you are like, you're an idiot for not appreciating the nuances of this magical film, which is stupid. Like, no. I saw Dances with Wolves. I saw Pocahontas. I know about Ferngully. It's been done.
Yeah, colonization. Yeah, I get it.
The white guy shows up, and all of a sudden they know how to fight. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Fucking shit.
Right? One thing I realized with The Way of Water that actually kind of made me a little bit, I don't want to say worried, but apprehensive for the future of effects-driven films. There's nowhere else to go. We've seen what visual effects are capable of. This is supposed to be the peak here. That's it. Like, you can't wow me anymore with computer-generated images. I know it's fake. I know, that dinosaurs don't exist. I know aliens don't exist. Like, it looks neat, but we're never going to see another film that's going to blow our minds visually because there's nowhere else to go. And I don't care for that. I don't know if that's just me and my cynicism that's been creeping up on me over the past couple of years, but this film, just everybody saying, Cameron saying like he waited so long to perfect this underwater mocap tech that is going to blow our minds. And then I watched it and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't have a moment of like, oh, wow. I was just like, all right. Which is not the reaction you're supposed to have to a movie that's being billed as a visual game changer.
Interesting. Yeah, well put. It's kind of like if CGI and technology in general is a cookie jar, James Cameron's like, give me all the motherfucking cookies, and you're never gonna wonder what a cookie tastes like anymore. It's over. Like, I took the cookies, bitch.
I've experienced every flavor, and now I can't be surprised anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of talked about this in a different way with a much different perspective when we did our Jurassic Park episode, where it was like, oh man, it's the threshold movie of entering the 90s, entering modern cinema. And so you have the practicality side of Jurassic Park, which is so engaging and so relatable, and you feel like you could be there. And then it also has a few moments of very clearly CGI, but still they're very wow moments. The first time you see a dinosaur, you're with the main characters. You have the same face as Laura Dern. You're like, wow, that's cool as shit. But when it's a bunch of humanoids that are all 10-foot blue people, you don't have that relatability. You don't have the practicality side of it. It's just all, there's like zero substance. There's nothing to grasp onto. And yeah, that is scary for the future of sci-fi movies, which is why you have to get so goddamn creative. A movie like an Annihilation or Ex Machina, like movies that are Well, now we have to be just weird and way different because all those big budget monster studios, they're taking over all of it. We have to do our own thing. We have to make our own movies that are going to cost less, make less, but hopefully last longer. And that's kind of, I'd rather be in that camp.
Well, the way you last longer is you rely on practical effects. You make it real. You don't just, throw it into a computer, spend millions of dollars to make something that, an actor has to react to nothing so they can put it in post. Jurassic Park lives up. Stands up to this day because of Stan Winston's dedication to making a giant Tyrannosaurus that they brought to set.
Yeah.
Like that, you need that. A film like Avatar, I know, we're going to talk about it later. This thing took best cinematography.
Yeah. Oof.
How is that any different than like Toy Story taking best cinematography? If you can make it on a computer, I feel like it's not. It's different. It's a different animal.
Yeah, I think what you and I like about that category is obviously practicality and using like natural light and outdoors locations.
Yeah.
Like taking your camera to a place and making a movie. That's kind of what that's our favorite thing about that particular category. So yeah, I'm in the same camp as you. Just I just much prefer Emmanuel Lubezki, who's like, no, I'm going to use the elements. Like that's what I'm going to use the elements with my camera, and we're going to make a movie, kind of showing how beautiful the world is, and our own world.
Yeah.
And you watch something like The Revenant. Take what you will with that movie, but you cannot deny that it looks so goddamn good. And it's because it's real, because it's real lighting,
Exactly, it's real.
He's got his camera out in negative 20-degree weather with a tarp over, covering, hovering over the camera so that it doesn't get damaged, like that. That's best cinematography to me and to you, and I think to most people who really really care about movies. But yeah, frustrating. Yeah, I mean, Avatar. 9 nominations at the 82nd Academy Awards. That's a lot. It's a lot of nominations. That's tied for the most at that ceremony with the Hurt Locker, which thank God now looking back, the Hurt Locker beat Catherine Bigelow's The Hurt Locker beat James Cameron's The Avatar, or just Avatar, for Best Picture, and also got more total wins. So love that. I'm not a huge. I mean, I like The Hurt Locker. Not crazy about it, but I like it. I think it's a quality film and has some amazing scenes in it and like incredible filmmaking and good performances, real life performances, and and I'm so glad that it won, because I remember watching those Oscars. I like still to this day. I remember like yesterday, and I remember my parents being kind of like, I hope they don't give it to Avatar, Best Picture specifically, because it's just like what are we doing after that? Like what? If that wins, well, then Endgame has to win. Then Spider-Man: No Way Home has to win, because it does what that movie's doing, but better. So it's kind of it's one of those moments that could have changed, I think, the Best Picture category for worse, in my opinion.
Well, it also just highlights the hypocrisy of the Academy. How come an effects-driven CGI heavy film like Avatar is granted 9 nominations and respected, but a film like The Avengers is shunned because it came out of a comic book?
Yeah, that's so frustrating. When if you watch, Infinity War Endgame, the complexity and the dialogue and all of those things like around the story are actually there, and you actually feel things when they happen. When Black Widow dies, you're like, oh fuck, like that moment is like built up correctly. You feel it over a 10-year span, and it sucks when it happens. You're like, oh no, fuck me, she died. There's never once a moment like that in Avatar. You're never like, oh no, Sigourney Weaver. Oh, like I don't care. I got to know her for like 30 minutes of screen time, and her character was just spouting off one-liners the entire movie. I just don't give a shit. Stephen Lang in this movie, I like that guy, but what the fuck is this performance in this movie? He's just nonstop like, bullseye, get him, like fire. It's nothing. It's just nothing's there.
You could cut the names of all these characters and just boil them down to stereotypes and tropes. You've got, cranky anti-military scientist. You've got angry, gung-ho, kill them all, ex-Vietnam soldier. You've got, businessman who doesn't understand the value of human life. It's so by the numbers.
Yeah.
There's no heart in any of these characters. There's no gray area. Everyone's just us or them, bad guy, good guy, because the movie tells you to. Like, it tells you, like, all right, you don't like that guy, you like this guy. And I don't like that. I don't like when that happens.
No, it treats you like an idiot. And that's what I know, because I haven't seen this in a long, long time. I saw it in theaters, and I probably watched it maybe a couple times after, like when my family bought it. And we just had it at our house. I don't own it anymore, nor do I wish to own it anymore. And part of me regrets part of me regrets being like, oh well, this new movie's coming out. Let's cover the first one because it was a big Oscar movie. Let's cover it on Oscar Sunday. Part of me was like, I wish I just would have picked something that I like or something I haven't seen before that's ambitious, like a Bicycle Thieves or a Faces. Or an older film or a foreign movie, something like that is got some real substance to it. But I was like, no, this new huge movie's coming out. Let's cover the first one. Let's talk about James Cameron. Let's talk about Avatar. And while I was watching, I was like, I don't know what the fuck to choose for these awards. I'm gonna just shit on this movie.
You can't back out mid-episode. We're doing this.
Oh no, it's happening. I literally the Tarantino Award for best quote of the movie. Oh. I don't fucking know.
To be fair,
it's all mediocre.
When you put this on the schedule, I remember you had Avatar /T2, and I remember thinking, "Are we going to do T2? Like, what's he going to go with?" And I'm like, he went with Avatar. All right, it's his show. It's his show.
Dumbass.
I can't do anything about it. It's not my call.
That stupid motherfucker from 2 months ago.
We could have done Aliens. We could have done True Lies. We could have done The Abyss. All of them were nominated.
Yeah, I know. We could have just been like, fuck Avatar. Let's just talk about James Cameron. Instead, I was like, no, let's do Avatar. Let's talk about what's happening. I don't know why I did that. But here we are. Here's the thing. We can get this movie out of the way. And in the future, we can cover all those other ones and give James Cameron the respect he deserves. Because yeah, the guy's cool. Like, he's got some cool movies. But for the past 30 years, I just don't care. Like, what he's doing, just don't give a shit. After Titanic, he was like, money, money. Well, and that's where we're at now.
He needs a failure. His ego's gotten out of control. He's never had a box office failure. Every film he's ever done has been a huge, insane, record-breaking hit. And that's going to get to that's going to mess you up. You're going to think you can't fail. And I think he has forgotten how to fail. So I kind of hope Way of Water bombs just so he can have a bit of a fucking wake-up call.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to bomb, but I also don't think it's going to get anywhere near the first one. Not anywhere near.
We're going to get Avatar 3. I don't know if we're going to get 4 and 5.
Yeah. Most of my, including you, most of the people that I know that like movies that are around, in their, mid to late 20s don't really care for Avatar. It's almost like, well, our generation, like, yeah, cool, neat. Because we've been desensitized since then with CGI, with big boom, like explosion, big battle sequences at the end of the movie and character building at the beginning, and that's just what the movie is. We've gotten kind of used to, okay, we get it. We would like something a little different. And I don't know. I think that's shown. And so you might have, some pretty impressive numbers at the box office, but conversation wise, legacy wise, call me crazy, but I think people are going to be talking about, I don't know, Barbarian and Banshees, Martin's film. They're going to be talking about those movies longer, and they're going to talk about it with more passion for years and years to come. That's just kind of how I feel about that, even though they don't make as much money.
Well, Way of Water is going to make a splash at the Oscars next year. It's going to be up for Best Picture. Cameron's probably going to be up for Director. It's going to take all the technical stuff.
God.
but it doesn't deserve to be there. It's there out of obligation because the Academy, I don't know, for whatever reason, since Titanic, Cameron can walk on water.
That's good. That is good. I like that. Well, so let's just go ahead and dive into the awards. Let's get them the fuck out the way. Just gonna be honest here. I don't really ever do this on the show because I typically pick movies that I like or have something positive to say about. This is
cool. It's Oscar Sunday, but with a Beyond the Bad flavor, and that's kind of fun.
I love that. Let's do our awards here in a second. Then we'll look at the ceremony, 82nd Academy Awards, and then at the end, let's have some fun. Talk about some stuff we've been watching lately. We'll talk about some Christmas stuff, some random stuff. There's a horror movie that you told me to watch. I definitely want to talk about. So let's do that at the end. Have some fun. Finish the episode off properly. But let's jump into our awards. Let's just fucking do it. It's got to happen. The Tarantino Award is for best quote of the movie, which I just feel wrong speaking about Quentin Tarantino and this movie at the same time. Same with Ennio Morricone for the best music moment. Same with Philip Seymour Hoffman, because Philip Seymour Hoffman, if he were a blue guy, he'd give a shit. Philip Seymour Hoffman as a humanoid, as a what are they called? Navi. PSH would probably be cool. He'd probably be some badass in their community who actually has some fucking substance. And the Roger Deakins Award for best scene of the movie. Sorry. Yeah, good luck, man, because I had a hard time with these.
Yeah, this took me forever to write down. I pretty much just went with Jake's big speech right before they take on the Sky People.
And what is that? The Sky People?
I know.
That took you what, a second to think of?
How come they have
what should we call the humans from Navi perspective? Sky People. What?
How come they can say words like ignorant, but they can't just say human being?
Or why can Jake tell his flying thing, bank left? What? Since when has this flying thing, it's heard Navi its whole life, all of a sudden this guy's speaking in plain English, bank left, bank right. Yeah. How does it understand him? What? Yeah. Bank. When I heard bank left, I audibly laughed out loud. I was like, God, this movie, I can't fucking do this.
I want to know what accent they're doing here with the Navi, and what people they base this on, and who is getting insulted here, because it just gets doubled down in the Way of Water.
Oh God.
Yeah, and nobody wants to say, because there will be hell to pay if somebody comes out and says like, oh yeah, we based this on so and so, because it's not flattering. So Jake's big speech has very much Idris Elba and Pacific Rim, we're canceling the apocalypse vibe. The Sky People have sent us a message that they can take whatever they want, that no one can stop them. Well, we will send them a message. God damn it. You ride out as fast as the wind can carry you. You tell the other clans to come. Tell them Taruk Makto calls to them. You fly now with me, my brothers, sisters, and we will show the Sky People that they cannot take whatever they want. And that this is our land. That's see, when you're James Cameron and you in your office have posters of Terminator 2 and True Lies and Titanic, no one is going to tell you, hey, you might want to rewrite that. You might want to take that line out. That's dumb. No one's going to say that. As a writer, always have at least one person in your circle who is not going to kiss your ass and tell you that what you just wrote is shit. You need that. Yeah,
and be like, hey, you might want to think for a second about this one. Yeah. And that's like the whole movie. Someone should have been like, hey Jim, just hire somebody to write you a story, dude. Good night.
I know your ex-wife's still on speed dial. Why don't you call her?
Yeah, Jesus. God, Catherine. Yeah. I get why Catherine was like, see ya.
Oh my God. But yeah, I went with that basically because it was like a big moment, and it was one of the few bits of dialogue that didn't have me rolling my eyes mostly. Uh, so there it is. This is not a proper award.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I chose something that I thought I guess has some substance. It's from Norm Spellman, who is just the most basic archetype for nerdy guy who knows the language, and
There you go.
we don't get really any background on him. We don't ever when he gets shot at, like actually gets shot, his avatar, you're like, I don't really care. It's like in slow motion. You just don't really give a shit. Like, you remember the final battle, and then he wakes up and he's like, as this human version. It's just
I don't actually. He's in part two as well, so I guess it was
yeah.
fine.
Yeah, he's fine because he um his human version of him like wakes up in time to live or whatever.
Oh no, his avatar is in part two, like straight up. Like
I wonder how that works. Did he get a new avatar? Yeah.
they never told us. They never told me.
Well, because they know nobody's paying attention. It's been 13 years. There's no, I hate to bring up Marvel again, but the continuity is like every year we have a movie or two movies. So you have to care about what happens in each one because people are going to be like, wait a minute. You can't just go from point A to point B like that.
The explanation for how Quaritch is back is the most convoluted soap opera bullshit I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. Good God. Yeah. I could make fun of this screenplay all goddamn day, but this is okay. This is all I could justify giving it my award. From Norm, he's speaking to Jake about the language, and I thought it was an okay moment. He says, "Now this is a very important part of it. It's not just I'm seeing in front of me; it's I see into you. I see you." And that's the yeah, it's so dumb explaining why I liked it. It is a decent moment because I do think Zoe Saldana does a great job of kind of when they're saying that to each other, Jake Sully and Natiri, I think is how you say her name.
Yeah.
When they're looking at each other and they say the quote, "I see you" over and over, it is important to know in context, at least they thought about this part of the movie. It is important to know that at some point Jake learns that in their language, it's a little bit different than it is in English. The way the context of it does matter. It's the same as from English to Spanish or any language. There's going to be those little tiny context, changes that will make, using those words more powerful if you use them correctly. And I do think like that's interesting. If you're going to, do world building and create a whole language, James Cameron hired a guy to make up a language and he made up 1,000 words. That's kind of neat. Use it. Use that. Actually build this world up, Don't just kind of throw out like home tree and, all these different kind of, tree of souls, like the most basic way of kind of describing these places. If you have your own language, you like utilize it. It's kind of neat to have your own language. And so when Norm is having those moments of, because he's like, oh, I've studied this language for 5 years, so he knows it really well. He just has to work on his context. I love that he's explaining that to Jake. I thought it was an okay scene. It's not a bad scene.
It's ironic because right at the beginning of The Way of Water, Jake has a line where he says, "I've been speaking their language for so long, all I hear now is English." And they justify that as like now, like he's hearing Navi the whole movie, but we're hearing English. The rest of the movie's in English. So that language thing gets thrown out pretty quickly.
Yeah, that is a prime example of I just don't care. or the use of, and I know this is a big sci-fi plot device, is using video logs if someone's out in space or here or there. That's your composition, is just a guy speaking into a camera. Yeah, I've been here for 10 years now and I don't even know what's what. Everything's backwards. It's like, show me the money. Like I want to see filmmaking. I want to see story unfold. I want to see something. Don't just spew fucking bullshit at me and then be like, look at that flower. Wow. I'm not 5, you know?
Every time I see a video log in a sci-fi movie, all I hear is Captain's log, Stardate 2205. We've just crash landed on a strange planet. I just hear
Yeah.
Shatner
Yeah. Yeah.
because they had a half hour to give us like, all right, so this is where the Enterprise is. This is what's going on. Get with the program. But these movies have a lot more time than that. They have a lot more, like, I think, seasoned writers. Try a little harder.
Yeah. And if your plan is to make 5 of these motherfuckers, like, let's make a screenplay. Let's write a story. Let's get a story in there. You know, you'll spend a lot less money and you'll get a lot more people invested in, oh wow, like there are true stakes here. There are true stakes because everything just bump 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 bump. It's just a fucking snowball effect with these movies. Just trying to get to a finish line. It's frustrating. It's like, man,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
I just can't do it, man. I just can't do it. The more I'm talking about it, the more I'm like, I just don't care about this movie.
I know what we're seeing with James Cameron in real time is a confirmation of the hypothesis that every successful major studio director eventually devolves into Michael Bay. It happens to everybody. Happened to Spielberg, happened to Lucas, happened to Coppola. It's happening to James Cameron right now.
Oh, it's sad to think that, like, could that happen to Jordan Peele? You know, because he's like one of the modern guys who's in his 40s who a studio will be like, hey, do what you want. Here's a bunch of money.
It could potentially happen to Greta Gerwig next year, depending on how that Barbie movie turns out.
100%, it could happen to her. This is just her 3rd movie now, but people are treating her like she's God. Yeah, it's scary. Scary world out there, my man. The score, the Ennio Morricone Award. What did you take from the score here? You like it or average?
I've always liked James Horner's work. I think this is a decent score. Kind of generic, pretty, nothing special about it really. But serviceable. I do want to reiterate that, these awards are not exactly the Stanley Cup. These are, the participation trophies you give the Pee Wee hockey team when one of them falls over and nobody scores any goals.
Well put.
I went with the moment where Neytiri says, Eywa has heard you, and all the creatures start attacking the humans. The score gets all bouncy and it's like, haha, God's on their side, which is nice to have. And
yeah,
Mother Nature fucks up the invaders, and that's neat. Music it was a little different. It wasn't just the same score over and over again in different keys. It was something else, which I liked.
No, that's good. Yeah, I went with something that was kind of, run of the mill, but does have. It's the Destruction of Home Tree. It's the title of the score, and it does have like a couple moments of, oh, that was kind of like I felt what they're trying to portray here. And it's like a 7-minute song. It's a big scene, obviously. It's that initial we're under attack. Stephen Lang really wants that unobtainium. They got to get that unobtainium. And
real quick, that shit doesn't come up once in the sequel.
God,
there's a new substance that's even more valuable.
So let me guess. Somehow, some way, the U.S. military, in some capacity, is like, we got to go back. We got a new thing to go get. Somehow, I swear to God, Stephen Lang's involved again. Right?
You're entirely on the money so far, yeah.
He's got to be involved. Just because that's just, that's what we kind of... We look at him as like the main bad guy, even though it's probably Giovanni Ribisi in the first movie. We look at Stephen Lang as the face of the enemy. Now, I know from the trailer that I've seen, there's Jake Sully and Neytiri have children now.
Yeah.
So it's got to be kind of a combination of, well, we got to raise our kids and, figure out how to, relate to them. And then, but also there's going to be a battle at the end. And the U.S. is going to, the military, it's just the U.S. military. God forbid anybody else from around the world, or universe rather, is coming to Pandora. Only the U.S. knows about it. Nobody knows about Pandora except the United fucking States. That's the only perspective that matters. So they're going to come back. The last hour of the movie is going to be 40 minutes of fucking explosions, and the last 20 minutes is like, we won, or something like that. I don't know.
You could teach a class.
I don't. That's not the class I want to be teaching. I tell you what.
It is like you throw in some ocean creatures and Edie Falco, and you got it.
Edie Falco, Sopranos Edie Falco.
Yeah, she's the general of the entire operation.
Okay, now I'm interested.
She's also in it for about total of 5 minutes.
Oh, never mind. That is hilarious, though. Edie Falco, what's she been up to? That's crazy.
Well, apparently, since this was like a 5-year production, she was filming Avatar.
Yeah, I wondered about her. Interesting. Okay. That's fascinating. Yeah. I just don't see the tempo or the, you know what I'm trying to say, the kind of the story. It's going to be the same for all these Avatar movies. It's going to be kind of, all right, let's reintroduce everybody. And like you mentioned earlier, he's like, well, I got used to the land and all the land creatures and all the dangers of the jungle. Now I got to be in the water, and next time it'll be in the fucking mountains. I don't fucking know.
Well, let me put it this way. There's a major character death in this movie, and there was no emotion because I didn't know the guy's name. I was like, oh, that's sad. Who is that that guy, or is it? Oh, all right. That was my I wasn't like, oh, I was like, yeah, okay, I remember him.
Jesus Christ. And look, it's okay to turn your brain off and watch a movie. I don't think either of us are trying to be above that. We've never been that way. We like a lot of just fucking dumb fucking action movies that don't need a whole lot. It's knowing what you are. It's knowing your own identity. Yeah. So a movie like Escape from New York, which is like a rail thin fucking screenplay. It's all imagination and action and practicality and cool performances. I love that movie to death. It knows what it is. John Carpenter knew what was going on. That's like what makes him such a cool director. Is he never was like, these are going to change your life. He was like, I will make your life cooler. It'll be more fun. That's I'm going to give you a good time. James Cameron very much gives off a vibe of, this is it. This is cinema. And if you don't watch my movies, then who are you? You don't know movies. And it's that identity crisis that I like when a director, a movie, and its ideas are on the same page. And with this, I feel like it's all off. It's all off. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, I don't need to see the second one. I'm good. I'm fine. I'll be okay. It also helps that my wife just does not care for them either, or doesn't care for the first one either. And she was like, she even said, because I started watching it, she was going to bed. She's like, why are you watching this movie you don't like? I was like, yeah, I know. Doing it for a podcast. Fuck me. And she's like, and I was like, well, do you want to see the second one? She's like, well, why would I do that? I didn't like the first one. Yeah. That's why I married you.
Yeah, I get it. I really don't like films that try to have the best of both worlds while not having enough of either one. Movies that look, they want you to turn your brain off and enjoy them, but they also want you to think about it constantly and take something ethereal away from it. It's like, you can't have both. Either be fun or don't be fun, but stop trying to act like you're this big thinky movie when you put zero effort into a script, giving us nothing but tropes, and walked away with $3 billion.
Yeah. What's great is that this year in particular, we have two movies that set the prime example with Top Gun Maverick. Just a fun movie. Everybody agreed. Fun as shit. Wasn't trying to poke at you or make you like feel dumb or smart. It was just a movie. And they knew that. Tom Cruise fucking knew that. And here's Avatar, the other movie that's probably going to make similar amount of money to a Top Gun Maverick with a completely different mindset. I'll take the Top Gun. Fuck yeah, let's have some fun at the theater. and we don't need to worry about talking about the story too much because that's not what they're going for. They're going for stunts and practicality and cool shit. Like, and that's what it is. It's just a fun fucking movie, and that's why it's going to get talked about and rewatched in the future. And I respect that about it.
Yeah, me too. It knows what it is. It knows what it's doing. It's not trying to trick you. It's not trying to make you feel bad for not thinking it's the pinnacle of modern cinema. Who directed that? Was that McQuarrie?
That's Kaczynski. Joseph Kaczynski, I believe is his name. You're talking about Top Gun?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, Kaczynski. Yeah.
Yeah. He knew what he was making. He knew this was Top Gun 2. Let's be honest. Tom Cruise probably directed that movie more than he did.
Yeah, which really makes sense when you see just a few months after Top Gun Maverick came out, Kaczynski directed what's it called, Spiderhead, the Netflix film, which was kind of a talky head game movie that didn't make sense and nobody really liked. And so it's very clear that Tom Cruise was pulling strings.
Yeah, and we all expected that. He's one of those guys who does that. But the movie was a huge success. Pretty much everybody liked it, and we're still talking about it. It's going to make probably an award splash. And Avatar is more like, oh, here, it's finally here. Now we can shut up about it.
Yeah, it feels like a task. And I've gotten so comfortable in my own skin as a movie person that I don't have to go do something because that's what you do as a movie fan. Meaning, I don't feel like I need to rush to see Avatar because I genuinely don't care. I'd be lying to myself if I was like, oh man, I have to see that on opening weekend. I'm glad one of us saw it for this particular show. Obviously, you've got a well-deserved break from school right now, and you had the time to go see it. I was at work, didn't have time to see it. I probably would have if I was off or had time to see it. I probably would have just so we could talk about it on the show. But if I wasn't doing this podcast and wasn't doing this particular movie, there's no way. There's just no way I would have spent my own money and my own time on trying to, get an opinion on something that I just don't really care about, don't have any passion for. I've got a lot of other stuff I'd rather watch.
Well, I appreciate that you're your own person when it comes to film, and you got no one who, you're not trying to impress anyone. You're doing your own thing. We should all aspire to that. I saw Avatar mostly, for two reasons. One, I really wanted a burger, and
there you go, Draft House, yeah.
And two, I thought, maybe.
Yeah, there's that sliver of hope. Yeah,
there's hope. I like to have some hope, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't, I'm not a completely, my life has not been changed by seeing it on the big screen, but you could watch it on your TV and it'll be fine. Like James Cameron's not gonna fall down the stairs. I don't get this obsession with that shit, but it was good. You can wait.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Yeah. Good to know. Let's see. Where were we? We just did the Ennio.
Did you give your Ennio? You started.
Yeah, mine was Destruction of Home Tree.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, I was listening to a little bit of the score today on Spotify, and I was like, man, this is fine. It's okay. It's pretty by the numbers, but there are a couple good moments. It is probably one of the better aspects of the movie for me, which is kind of sad, but that's just the way it is. You did say you like James Horner. I typically do as well. I think he's a fine composer. Passed away not that long after Avatar came out, like just a few years. Yeah. So he's not a part of the second one, but he did the music for Titanic. Like he's got some big stuff in under his belt. Let's see, the Philip Seymour Hoffman Award, best performance of the movie. Good luck.
To me, there's only two people who actually give a shit in this movie, and for very opposite reasons. Stephen Lang loves playing a military asshole.
Yeah.
He'll do it again, but as a blind guy in 2 movies later.
Yep.
But, he's good. He's not who I gave the award to. Zoe Saldana is carrying this thing.
I gave it to her too. I think she's the only person who could win this.
Yeah, she cares. She's creating a character in Neytiri. The mocap is fantastic. I like that character. I believe that character. But that's about it. Sam Worthington is just, your average jarhead movie guy. Sigourney Weaver, it probably, owed Cameron a favor. And all the other guys are just, I don't know why Michelle Rodriguez is here.
Just because she's like, God, she just gets typecasted.
Yep.
She just gets typecasted, and she's the one who's like, I'm not gonna fucking stand for this. I'm gonna fight the man. You know who's the worst in this movie?
Who?
Matt Gerald. I'm never gonna speak of this guy again on any podcast just because he's not gonna come up. Corporal Lyle Wainfleet. If you're not familiar with Corporal Lyle Wainfleet, it's the guy who is literally shooting a machine gun and saying, "Get some." That guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck that performance. Fuck that character. That is the most typical stupid war movie guy who's just like, I fucking get off by killing things, And it's just not true. It's just not a true thing. It's if you're gonna do that whole macho do it the Platoon way, do it the Full Metal Jacket way. Give us some substance. Give us a reason. Give them a reason to be a major dickhead, And then I'll be impressed by, oh wow, that character makes sense. There's a reason they're so hard. There's a reason they've got this calloused mind, this calloused heart. But with this movie, there's a bunch of guys. When Stephen Lang is like, we're gonna fucking go out there and fucking eyes out for jujubes, like that's what we're gonna do, And all these guys are like, yeah, this is just not how things work. Not everything is like a football game. Not everybody is just like, we gotta get hyped. A lot of people who are going into war are like, this is hard. This sucks. This is really tough. My job is hard today. And they're very serious, Think of a 1917, a more recent movie that takes that. There's not a bunch of people out there who are just like, oh man, I'll fuck shit up. It's like, I'm gonna do my best to survive. And I'm a human being. This movie is filled with just stereotypical bullshit, children cartoonish characters playing Marines. It's fucking horrible, If there was an award for the worst performance of the movie on Oscar Sunday, I would call it the Matt Gerald Award.
Yeah, they are cartoonishly evil, the military in this movie. And they're not even at war. Scientists came to this planet to look for resources, and they brought military, consultants.
Security.
Yeah, but they're acting like this is, World War III over here, and they turn it into one.
And what the racism towards the Na'vi is what is this? When Giovanni is just like, what are those blue monkeys doing? You're like, what?
He literally
where did that come from?
Savages at one point. That word is in this movie.
Where did this come from? This disdain for aliens.
They invaded.
Yeah, which is why it's I've always been this is just Pocahontas on steroids.
Yeah,
or on crack. I don't really know.
Yeah, a race of mostly white people showing up to a shore where they are not made welcome, and they are immediately met with hostility because they're hostile.
Yeah, and not just in the movie, but the actors playing the people. All of the people who have sympathy or are part of the Na'vi are black and brown people. You have Zoe Saldana, Michelle Rodriguez has a heart. Dileep Rao plays Dr. Max Patel, has a heart. Laz Alonso plays Sute, the kind of macho guy who's like, who's this Jake Sully guy? Um, her father, uh, Neytiri's father, is played by, I believe he's from, it's God, what's his name?
It's West Studi, right?
Yes, yeah. Where is he from? Like another a brown person. Like
He's Native American.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean like, and then
Yeah.
every bad motherfucker is white. It's like
Well, historically, yeah.
yeah, and so it's like you're not even trying to, I don't know, have any perspective of, oh, this is a different place. It's just like, well, you just took the story of what we did. You didn't change it to like modern, because this isn't 2009. It's like the year is like 2154 when this is taking place. It's like over 100 years from now. Like I just I don't quite get that. You know what I mean? Like the I have no problem being like, oh, white people are always going to be bad. Yeah, fair enough. But I don't understand why you have to literally pit actors on actors like against each other. It's like, oh, dude, like you're just doing the whole. We came to America. Christopher Columbus and his motherfuckers came here, and we're like, look what we found. It's like, no, it's been found. It's that exact same thing.
Yeah.
So there's no real nuance to it. Is my point, I guess. My point is not that like, oh, how dare you pit black and brown people versus white people. That's been the case. It's more like, where's the nuance to your story, to this thing you made up? There is none. You just copy and pasted what's been done for the past 100 years in storytelling.
Well, you've seen the screenplay. You know there's no nuance in this fucker. You know Cameron didn't think that far ahead. It's
yeah.
I mean, if it helps you, there are some white actors doing a Navi voice in part 2, so that's nice.
Fine, that's fine. It should be all kinds of people.
Yeah, it's aliens.
Yeah, exactly. The Navi should just be whatever. Anything.
I don't know why they have to be like pretty much modeled after Native Americans.
Yeah, and it's like very much Native American and like African.
Yeah,
like those, like that's the inspiration for
the invaded tribes of Earth.
Exactly, and it's just like, how original. How'd you think of that?
And you got the white businessman who's like, oh, those savages don't know the value of what they've got, and we're just going to take it from them. And like, what cultural sensitivity? Fuck you. It's so it's a caricature nonstop. Everybody in this movie is a caricature.
Yeah, and that's probably what bothers me the most. So, with that being said, we both chose Zoe Saldana because she's trying.
Yeah,
she's doing something unique. I like what she does with the language. I also like the physicality of her performance, right? If you watch the behind the scenes of this movie, she's got a lot to do, and there are some behind the scenes videos of this movie that are quite fascinating with how they filmed it, how they made it work. There's like one video I saw the other day of, a guy's holding a model head of one of the, I think they're called ircon, the like birds, the like big giant like dinosaur birds that they fly. And like when she's looking at it and she's like about to attach her hair to it or whatever, there's a big giant man holding, and she jumps on the man's back. Like that's how they had to make this work. And there's some of that stuff that I do respect and is very fascinating, like the strings you have to pull and the things you have to do to make this movie look the way it does. And it seemed like she was really getting after it. In all of those videos, she is locked in. She is like locked into her character, thinks she's Neytiri. It's cool. So I don't feel like anybody's even in second place for this award. I think it's Zoe, and everybody else is kind of diddling around.
She is majorly sidelined in the sequel.
That sucks.
She has like a couple big moments, but she's not in a lot of it. The major characters of part 2 are his kids.
Yeah, fathers and sons.
Yeah, and of course, guess what? Dad and son don't get along because dad is a teenager who wants to fight, and dad's like, no, you're not going to fight. And then there's the middle kid who's like, but I'm more than this. And he's like, shut up. I love your older brother more. Like, come on.
Yeah. Come on.
Jim,
Come
stop.
on.
Like, have an original idea. You've had them before. Do it again.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's there. 30, 40 years ago, it was there. I've seen Aliens. That's a sequel. That's a sequel off of a Ridley Scott movie. That is good. You know?
It's its own thing, and that's largely because of James Cameron.
Yeah. God, so frustrating. All right, well, here's our last award, the Deacons. I I don't know. I haven't even written anything down yet. I'm still thinking about it. I don't know. What do you got?
Well, my consolation prize goes to Jake fulfilling the prophecy and taming what I've come to call Big Bird.
Okay. Okay, that's a decent scene.
Yeah, which didn't seem that difficult, frankly, for this like prophecy that happens once every 5,000 years. He just kind of jumped on it, and then it was fine.
Yeah, I completely forgot that he's narrating. Of course, Sam Worthington's got to narrate this scene, and he's like, sometimes it just takes one insane move, and he jumps, and then it cuts. The scene cuts, and then all of a sudden he's on the big red bird, and they're all like, "Oh my god, who's on Big Red Bird? Oh, it's Jake Sully."
Big Red.
Well, now, yeah, of course, the white guy, of course, he's the one who tamed this beast, and he's now going to lead us into battle, into war.
He's one of us now. Let's completely forget the fact that he was reporting everything about our culture to the bad guy the whole time we've known him. Let's ignore that. He is now our leader. We'll follow him into death.
Let's also just let's just forget that he's a fucking human being from the United States of America using an avatar and banged basically the princess of our world. Like,
it's always
yeah,
the chief's daughter, isn't it? It's always the chief's daughter.
It's fine. Yeah, it's never just some girl. Yeah, it's never just like a girl who's like, "Hey, I live here too." There is none of that. When Neytiri does that whole thing where she's like, "There's a lot of good women. You have to choose a woman. God forbid you be gay. You have to choose a woman." And that's just the way it is. When you become one of us, you choose a woman to be on your side because that's how things work. And she's like naming the other people. Like, who the fuck is that? She's like, yeah, whatever, so and so is the best singer. Who? Who are you talking about?
I don't even remember that scene. That must have been when I was asleep.
This is before they fuck or whatever the fuck they do. I don't like they connect hair,
No, they actually do at some point physically fuck because they have 4 kids.
Yeah, how does that work? How does procreation work?
Nothing's
explained.
We just see a scene of Neytiri pregnant briefly at the beginning, and then flash 40 years later, and they've got 4 kids.
Oh, good, great, yeah.
One of the kids, teenager, falls in love with a girl from the ocean. Guess who the girl is? Ocean Chief's daughter.
Oh yeah, all right, because no one else matters,
The Avatar franchise is eating itself in real time.
It's all just chosen people. Yeah, no one else's story matters. You and I, basically, what James Cameron is telling us is, hey, you guys don't matter if you're not somebody important, son or daughter. Get lost because you're just a sideshow. Fucking, you're just a sideshow. No, yeah, there's that bit where she's like, you have to choose a woman. There's so and so who's great at singing. There's so and so who's great at hunting. And he's like, yeah, but I've already chosen. And I hope she chose me. And she's like, I already did. And it's like, all right, yeah, do whatever you guys do, and let's move on. That's horrible storytelling. Even worse is later when they're gathering all the tribes, which you're like, oh, well, there's more of these motherfuckers just like in different areas of Pandora. You're like, oh, well, who are they? And he literally says, I called upon the horse people. The horse people? Like, oh, dude. Oh my God. And he just does that. Like in 5 minutes, all of a sudden, it's like Mighty Ducks 2 when they gather all the people at the beginning of the movie, like, oh, we got all of our people. Here we go. Mighty Ducks 2 is a children's movie about hockey. This is James Cameron's Avatar, a movie that cost nearly $400 million to make. And they do like a 5-minute montage of them gathering the tribes. we don't learn a goddamn thing about the other tribes. We don't learn one thing about them before they go into battle with each other to fight the Marines. Like what is that?
In part two, we learned nobody went and talked to the ocean people because they say like it's not our
Clearly.
war and like we do not fight with you. And we're like, well, I'm thinking like it's a pretty big operation. Like you should have seen something. You just leaving this one out. Just not talk. We're gonna meet the sky people in part three.
You didn't hear about what happened to Home Tree? Oh, shocking! Yeah,
The giant tree sticking out of the horizon that you can see from pretty much every plane on the planet. It's so big, just fell over, and you just didn't do anything about that.
yeah. You didn't hear Stephen Lang say that's a pretty big tree. You didn't hear that? I heard it.
Nobody flew over to go talk to you, say like, "Hey, the prophecy's been fulfilled. He's riding the big red bird.
Yeah,
we got a war to fight."
Did you hear? Yeah, it'd be like if there was another Michael Jordan. Did you hear? Michael Jordan was reincarnated. Yeah, that's what it's like if a guy gets on Big Red Bird. It's that rare. It's that kind of a thing.
Well, apparently it's not that rare because in part two, Jake's kid tames one of the big water creatures, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, you are one of us." It's the same movie. The more I'm talking about it, the less excited I'm getting about it.
You were fooled. You were bamboozled.
Yeah, I was. I had some time, and now I'm thinking, you know what? I just watched Avatar again.
That's what these movies are, though, right? Is like even if we didn't have this conversation, I feel like you would have woken up tomorrow and been like, "Wait a minute, the burger was good, but the movie, not so much." Oh Christ! I guess my favorite bit of the movie. Yeah, I think it's my favorite bit. Is the initial release of Norman, Jake, and Grace, Dr. Grace, when they go into Pandora and you're kind of seeing the world for the first time. And you're like, oh wow, this is pretty neat. There's lots of colors, there's a lot of, it's very vibrant. And he does he pokes those that plant and the plant fucking disappears or whatever. And then boom, there's that giant fucking hammerhead shark looking giant buffalo thing. And it attacks him. That's a pretty cool scene. It's a good welcome to our world type scene. And then from there on out, he's by himself, and Dr. Grace is like, oh, he won't last overnight. And then Neytiri saves him, and then the movie gets going. I wish we would have had more time for that. I wish the movie dove more into kind of getting used to this place rather than just montage. Like it's fucking Tarzan. The Tarzan montage scene, where he goes from 5 years old to 20. You're like, wait, whoa. That's a children's movie. It's a Disney movie. We're supposed to be treated as adults here in the audience for Avatar, yet they treat you like you're a child. So I wish there was more time in that initial kind of wow factor of Pandora. I wish we had more of that with Jake, Grace, and Norman. I do think that's an interesting trio. I wish we would have had more of them just kind of walking around and her showing them what it's like to be there. So I remember in theaters being wowed by it, like, whoa, this is crazy. Look at all the colors. And this literal world that they created. That's where I can tip my hat to James Cameron. Is like, damn, dude, this looks crazy. For 2009, and even now it still kind of holds up. This is pretty fucking impressive. That does not outweigh my disdain for the story and the screenplay and the horrible character development. But it is something. It is worth something. So I'll give it that.
I wonder what this planet's actually called. Because
yeah,
the United States Army called it Pandora. What the hell do they call it?
So was Giovanni Ribisi listening to Pandora radio, and he was like, "Yeah, Pandora's a cool name." Yeah,
I know unobtainium was ripped right out of the movie The Core. Nobody ever
there
talks about that.
I read about that earlier today. I was like, "Oh, those fuckers."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, Cameron even rips himself off. He's got the fucking loading dock suit from Aliens as Quaritch's, mech thing. It's like, nah.
Wasn't that funny? The final fight scene between, Jake, Stephen Lang, and Neytiri, when they're all, they're in the jungle at the end, and he's like, time for you to wake up. And when he's in that thing, he's holding a giant knife and like in one hand, and the fucking robot like flips it over, like he's like holding it like this, and he flips it, and he's like, "Let's fucking fight," you know. I'm like, what? This isn't Street Fighter.
My favorite bit of the ending is when Neytiri saves Jake out of the like Matrix bin, and she's holding him like a big man baby.
Yeah,
It's just like,
it's like you had sex with that.
yeah, that's that's your wife now, according to custom.
Yeah, and more so to her, I'd be like, you're like a 10 foot like incredible being. You slept with that. Like, you slept with Sam Worthington. Like, ah, dude.
I'm glad that the guy she was supposed to be with never saw human Jake, because he would never have let this slide. He would have been like,
Yeah.
seriously, it would have wrecked his ego irreparably if he was like, I'm losing to the 5 foot tiny man baby.
Yeah. God.
My personality, that shit.
Am I no fun to be around? Yeah, I thought I was kind of cool. Yeah, his character, I could have used a lot more development on his character. I think he could have been fascinating. This kind of, super masculine character who's been doing this for a long time, obviously, very much seeks a high place amongst his people. I'd rather watch a movie about him,
Yeah.
I'd rather watch the movie from their perspective,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, they're not treated as characters, really. They're just kind of treated as plot devices. He's the angry warrior, and then there's the chief, and then there's the medicine lady. But I don't even remember their names, and they don't have like subtleties about their characters. They don't have wants and desires. They don't have, black and white, gray moments. They fit the scene as needed. And those are the laziest kinds of characters. I hate when characters are just here because they have to be. But I want reasons.
Yeah. So one more question.
Yeah.
About the logistics of these two movies, because I haven't seen the second one. During the first one, and this is another thing that I thought would have been fucking cool if they would have gone into, Giovanni Ribisi, his character, Parker Selfridge, he says, what a dumb name. Whenever they're contemplating, trying to, like, what are we going to do to get this obtainium? Towards the beginning of the movie, and he's talking to Dr. Grace Augustine. He's talking to Sigourney Weaver, and she's like, "Well, like we have to gain trust. We have to talk to them. It's going to take years. It could take a long, long time to say, hey, could we potentially do this? And that's just that." She's like, "Look, we probably shouldn't even go there. This is their world, And he's like, "Yeah, but 1 kilo of this, cost $40 million. Like, well, that's our goal here." There is a minute where he says, I don't want to just destruct everything because that will look bad to the rest of the world. It'll look bad to China, to Russia, to England, to all of Europe, to all of Africa, to all of South America. That's interesting to me. And they never go into that. They never go into what does the rest of the world, our world, Earth, think about what the U.S. is doing to Pandora.
Well, I don't think the Russians are that annoyed by it, but
I said Russians, and then I was like, I should have just said like Europe, yeah,
like I think they're fine with it.
So okay, that's also interesting. Wouldn't Russia be like, "Fuck you guys, we're gonna beat your asses to it"? Like there's so much from our Earth, what we would do and how we would fight amongst each other to get the unobtainium. Unobtainium. Like, why aren't we seeing any of that? Why aren't we seeing Giovanni Ribisi on call with his boss, who's like, "Don't you dare fucking kill those people, or that's going to be on CNN News, you stupid bitch." Like where's all that stuff? You know what I mean? Like, where's the relatability where we understand the stakes?
Didn't make it into the script.
So in part 2, there's none of that either.
No, the U.S. military just comes back.
Yeah, that's just
This time they put Edie Falco in charge of the project, and there's no scientists. But Sci-fi movies made in America do that. We never see the global implications of things. We never see what other governments want to do with this situation. Like Independence Day, for instance. We just see the US government handling this. And then when America decides we're going to fight back, that's when the rest of the world's like, oh, America finally has a plan. What is it? Like, that's every sci-fi movie made in Hollywood. All that matters is how the United States is handling it. Armageddon, Deep Impact, movies that are global movies. All we see is how is America handling it. That's just, Avatar's no different. The American, that's what Americans want to see, is Americans handling American problems.
Yeah. And I suppose, you have a certain runtime for your movie, so you can't do everything. I understand that. But there's got to be something you can do to kind of connect it to our world and make it have stakes. And I don't know. I think it would just help everything go around. But yeah, I mean, yeah, who the fuck am I? Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's valid. I think that, if you're going to make a movie about human beings colonizing space, I would like to see a multicultural version of that. It's not just the United States and, white people from the United States who are trying to colonize the stars. China has a space program. Russia has a space program. Mexico has a space program. How are they handling that? I would love to see that.
Yeah, same here, man. Same here. Yeah, well, needless to say, I don't think either of us would have voted for Avatar at the 82nd Academy Awards. I don't think we would have been chomping at the bit to get Avatar in the door at this Oscars. And yet, a lot of people thought it was going to win, like everything. And that's just tomfoolery.
Yep. But then, who showed up and took everything away? The ex-wife.
Catherine, the first female Best Director winner. Let's go. So awesome. Love that lady. Oh, she's great. We're gonna go through the categories here. Typically we save the winners for last from the specific movie. With this, I want to change it completely. I just want to go from the bottom up.
Okay.
So starting with best visual effects. Avatar got the win. It beat District 9 and Star Trek.
Yeah, of course. Like, if this was going to take any Oscar, it was going to take this one.
This is fine. This is the one.
Absolutely. No problem here. Star Trek looks great. I love Star Trek. That could have taken it. District 9 too, honestly, like, it's good competition there. But Avatar, yeah, that's all anybody ever talks about with this movie is how beautiful it looked.
Yeah, and fair enough. I have no problem with that. I'm not saying Avatar shouldn't have been up for anything. I just don't think it should have been up for 9.
Yeah,
and including Best Picture. Best sound editing. The Hurt Locker took the win home. It beat Avatar. Here we go. Inglourious Bastards, Star Trek, and Up.
Sound editing. I gotta fucking see the Hurt Locker.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I think you'd like it a lot.
I know I would. I just haven't. I'm going to. So nixing the Hurt Locker because I haven't seen it. I give sound editing to Star Trek.
Okay. That's fair. I understand that. I'd give it to Hurt Locker just because it, quite frankly, trying to think of a movie that I could kind of like compare it to. I mean, it's about guys who a good chunk of the movie are detonating bombs.
Yeah.
And so you have these massive scenes that are somehow, like, quite frankly, explosive in imagery and in sound, but are so human. I think this is Bigelow's her best attribute as a director. I love that lady. I think she's so fucking skilled. Is she has like kind of a auteur style, but she uses big, massive stories that are appealing to most people to kind of just make entertaining movies. But like within the movie Hurt Locker, there's specific scenes where you're like, God damn, she just knows what the hell she's doing behind a camera. So yeah, I really respond to that movie, and I think you would too. The sound editing is just bonkers. You know, sometimes with war movies, you just forget how fucking tough it is to kind of simulate what it would be like. So,
That's true.
but Star Trek I haven't seen in a long time. You know, I probably haven't seen it since theaters all the way through. So I can't really argue with that, but I certainly wouldn't give it to Avatar.
Yeah, I have a lot of love for Star Trek. Never consider myself a Trekkie, but I love what they call the Kelvin trilogy. You know, Star Trek Into Darkness and then Beyond. I thought those were
Yeah,
great. So yeah, I know I'm gonna like the Hurt Locker. I have a feeling it's gonna have a similar tone to Black Hawk Down.
yeah, that's a good comparison. That's a good one right there. You're just gonna be blown away by Jeremy Renner. You know, you just like, man, that guy. Every time you're like, that guy's better than we give him credit for. You know, best sound mixing for Hurt Locker with another win here. It beat a very similar group: Avatar, Inglorious Bastards, Star Trek, and Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. Get that shit out of here. I
Boo,
I
boo.
I understand, you know, it's sound mixing, it's not best picture. I still think there should be a threshold that the movie should be watchable to be nominated, you know? Can we be a little bit snobbish? You know? And Revenge of the Fallen, no thanks.
I'm with you. There's certain films that don't belong here. That's just, I'm sorry, but
Like Suicide Squad.
yes. I feel like if
Like
you're up for Razzies, you shouldn't be allowed in the Oscars. That's where I've drawn the line.
that one's I've heard that before. The reason that one's so hard for me is The Shining was up for like worst movie of the year
True,
at the
but it
Razzies.
also wasn't nominated for any Oscars, so I'm
Should
not
have
taking
been.
anything away there.
Should have been though. It should have been up for, you know, uh couple performances, best picture, screenplay, adapted screenplay, even though it's like way different than the book. You know, yeah, should have been up for a lot of cinematography,
I agree.
directing. But it wasn't. You're right, it wasn't.
Yeah, that's kind of the go-to argument, but I just don't want Michael Bay invited to my party. That's pretty much where it comes from for me. It's like, get out of here. You are not of the rest of these people. Get out of here.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Totally fair.
Yeah, haven't seen Hurt Locker, so once again, sound mixing for me goes to Star Trek.
Okay, I can dig that. I'll stick with the Hurt Locker. Good win. You know, couple of sound wins would make sense for that movie. Let's see. Best original score. We have Up that took the win. Fantastic score. It beat Avatar, Fantastic Mr. Fox, The Hurt Locker, and Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes, I forgot about that one. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Good group. I like this group.
I remember back in 2009 being very excited that Sherlock Holmes sneaked in there because I really like that movie and I still do.
That'd be a neat one to do on this show just because it's random.
It would be. It's a bouncy, fun score and a cool movie. But yeah, Up score is gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's sad. It's haunting. It's everything. So that takes it.
I'm totally cool with Up taking it. Yeah, it's a quite powerful movie, matched by kind of its cast and crew. You know, it's not just a great story, but really well executed movie. Not the most rewatchable Pixar movie, just because it's so goddamn sad.
Right.
But that first watch is pretty heavy, pretty impactful. Let's see here. Scroll past best makeup, best costume design. Obviously, no. Best art direction. We got Avatar with the win. It beat The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. I vaguely remember seeing that movie. Vaguely. I should see it again. Nine. Another one I kind of forgot about. That's Rob Marshall, right? Chicago.
I believe so. That's like Daniel Day-Lewis's like one Rotten Tomato.
It's great. Sherlock Holmes again, best art direction, and The Young Victoria.
Damn, I've not seen most of these. I don't think Avatar should get art direction. I mean, what's special about the sets here? I mean, it's a CGI environment, the jungle, or every sci-fi movie set from the past 10 years.
Yeah, this one's tough. This one's tough. It, I guess it is. Got to admit, it's a little impressive what they do when we are. I mean, it's not a lot. A lot of the movie. This is one of James Cameron's things is when you're walking around with Dr. Grace or you're walking around with Stephen Lang's character, it feels pretty fucking real when you're like walking around all the military base and all those things. Uh, the design of some of that stuff is pretty bonkers. Like the beds that they go into to like where they go off to the Avatar, all that stuff looks pretty fucking cool. And that's where I see Aliens and Terminator 2. You know, that's where I see that stuff, that practicality, that built like hand built stuff that looks really cool. But it's not a big part of the movie. Most of the movie we're at Pandora, where it's obviously computers and CGI. It's all computer. So I don't know. Yeah, this is a tough one. I don't have like a huge opinion on the other ones.
Yeah.
So I'm not like super familiar with them. I don't really have like a horse in the race here.
I've never seen Dr. Parnassus, Nine, or The Young Victoria. So I'm going to give this to Sherlock Holmes because I think that Guy Ritchie and his team developed a realistic and enjoyable take on Victorian London.
Okay. I like that. Good call. Now, the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, that you haven't seen that?
I haven't. Yeah, it slipped. It slipped.
This
me.
is literally like made for you. You got Terry Gilliam at the helm, Heath Ledger, Christopher Plummer, Andrew Garfield, Tom Waits. Come on. I don't know. It's just
it's Heath's last film. I've always wanted to see it. I know that I think it was Johnny Depp, Colin Farrell, and I want to say Jude Law.
Yep, those are the three. Yeah,
stepped in to help finish that. So I definitely want to see it, and I like knowing that we could do it on the show if we wanted to. I'll get to that for sure. I love Terry Gilliam as a filmmaker. You know that.
Oh yeah, dude, that guy's just got one of the coolest imaginations. I would rather go to Brazil 1,000 times than I would Avatar. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I'll take the fancy alien world over the dystopian government of Brazil.
No. The movie. I'd rather watch the movie 1,000 times than watch Avatar 10 times.
Well, obviously that makes sense. I was thinking like I don't know if I want to go there, but
oh no, it looks bleak. Yeah, but it's a cool. It's a fucking the production design, the practicality of it, fucking sick.
Well, Gilliam has a style. Like he brings this this Monty Python vibe to every film he's done because that's his roots. Cameron has kind of lost that. Like there's nothing left there, and there's nothing left in the tank. I don't think, but Gilliam always has something weird to do.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't sell out.
No.
I'll give him that. Best film editing. The Hurt Locker won this one. It beat Avatar, District 9, Inglourious Bastards, and Precious. These are 5 Best Picture nominees. Usually, Best Film Editing has some heavy fucking hitters in it. I give this to Bastards.
Oh yeah, 100%. That movie is edited so beautifully. I mean, everything he like that. Sally Menke's work with Tarantino is unmatched.
Yeah,
and especially with Bastards because from page to screen, that thing evolved so much. It had to, subplots got cut out, characters got pushed to the forefront. It's a completely different animal, and that that comes from the editing room.
Yeah, 100%. I think we've said this, but you don't have Tarantino without Sally. She's a vital piece to the things that we love as film fans. Of course, we're both quite biased because he's one of our favorite filmmakers, but I don't give a shit. Cinematography. Here we go. Got some issues with this category. Avatar takes the win, beating Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Very interesting nomination. The Hurt Locker, Inglourious Bastards, and The White Ribbon. Avatar and Half-Blood Prince both being in the same category for cinematography is quite fascinating. Is
It's
that
weird.
is that what Half Blood Prince should be nominated for? You look at all the Harry Potter nominations and they're just random as fuck. It's like,
Yeah.
can you just leave us out? Leave him out of it. If you're not going to give him respect, don't act like you care. You're just throwing. They just throw like a few of the movies a bone, and some of them they disregarded completely. It's like, all right, you don't really care. Stop acting like you do.
I have such mixed feelings about Half Blood Prince. It's a good
I know,
movie,
I
but
know.
it's not what we should have gotten. But it's a good movie.
Yeah, it is. I love that one, but I totally understand the stuff they leave out. The stuff they leave out, it's hard. It's a tough one.
We don't get the origins of Voldemort. We don't get Snape's history with, potions. We don't get a believable romance between Harry and Ginny. And it's such
Yep.
a crucial part of the book. It's like, what happened here? But, and I know I keep saying this, but it's the only way I can sleep at night. It's a good movie.
Yeah, yeah. You're right.
But cinematography, yeah, that's an odd pick. This goes to Bastards for me.
Yeah, yeah. For me, it's between Bastards and Hurt Locker. I haven't seen White Ribbon. That's a black and white film. I'm sure it's quite impressive. It's Michael Haneke. So yeah, I would love to see that at some point. I've heard great things.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm concerned, I'm giving it to one of the more natural movies here.
Yeah, I don't think it's controversial to say that if you can build it on a computer, it's not cinematography. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
you can have elements in the background, but if you're building the whole scene on a computer, that's not the same animal.
Yeah, it's a different beast. That's what the visual effects
Yeah.
categories for. Yeah.
Whereas Bastards is, the way that movie's filmed is beautiful. Just, Shoshana running off into the horizon with Landa creeping up behind her in the doorway. That shot alone. Fuck, man.
Yeah, good night. That is I think that's my favorite first 10 minutes of any Tarantino movie.
It's his favorite 10 minutes. He has been adamant saying that is the greatest scene he's ever written, and I think he's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think now. Beginning of Pulp. Yeah, pretty good. Reservoir Dogs. I like the beginning of Reservoir Dogs. Jackie Brown. Yeah, Jackie Brown's got a good opening bit, across 110th Street. It's a good intro song. Kill Bill. Yeah. Yeah, he kind of kills it.
His openers, he gets your attention so fucking quick every time. He is so good at that.
Django. Like, yeah. Hateful Eight, for sure. Hateful Eight. You're just like, who are these fucking pricks? And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Hell yeah, So yeah, he's just
Bounty
kind of
Law.
he's just kind of the master of this stuff. But his most impressive, is back, and it's him writing and directing the shit out of that scene. But it's Christoph Waltz just chef's kiss, fucking destroying that bit of dialogue, just knocking it way out of the park.
Oh, it's the most sadistic, brilliant character he's ever written. Like, Hans Landa is such a evil, but he's like fucking Moriarty of the Nazis. It's genius. I can't believe that character came out of the same dude who made fucking Mr. Blonde. Like, that guy's penchant for characters is amazing. I wish I had an iota of his talent.
Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be nice.
All right, we got two more. Yeah, the two big ones. Best director, Miss Catherine Bigelow with the win for The Hurt Locker, beating James Cameron, Avatar. Lee Daniels for Precious. Jason Reitman for Up in the Air, a movie that we've covered on this show. And Quentin Tarantino for Bastards. I love you, Catherine. Love you to death. I hate doing this. I hate doing it. It's not my fault the Academy has not awarded more women. It's not my fault. I'm going to sound like a total dude here. But if Tarantino was going to win one directing Oscar, to me, it's this movie, Inglourious Basterds.
You're not wrong, but I was sure I was going to be the one who had to say that.
I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, we are. I haven't seen Precious. I've heard it's a rough watch,
Yeah, very very rough.
and I got to see the Hurt Locker. I'm glad the Academy finally recognized a woman after what 90, 90 or 82 ceremonies.
Yeah, 82, and then they don't do it again until Chloe Zhao for Nomadland 10 years later. It's like, oh, thanks, guys.
Yep, still waiting on a black director. Take your time. Uh,
Yeah, it's not like Spike Lee's been around for fucking 40 years. Yeah.
I just wrote a paper in my African American history course on African American representation in film, and particularly with the Oscars. I couldn't believe only 6 black directors have ever been nominated.
Oh yeah, the Wikipedia page. There's a Wikipedia page for black people who have been nominated, and it is short.
Well, um, Cameron, you know what? You're doing okay here. You've done better. Jason Reitman, Up in the Air is great, but you were never winning this.
You're in the wrong sandbox, my friend. Yeah.
Yeah. Frankly, like I think Neil Blomkamp should be here for District 9.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. 2009. Let's see. 2009. What else came out that year?
Well, I mean, you could give the Coens a bone for A Serious Man.
Oh yeah, we haven't even brought up A Serious Man because it's not up for any technical stuff. Yeah, I adore that movie. Um, I feel like there's something I'm missing that like I really really like. I'm not sure what it is. I might have to look some stuff up, but either way, I've looked at 2009 before. Bastards is it's the best movie from the year. It's just the best.
Whenever Tarantino's whenever he's got one, it's like, should anybody else even bother? He's gonna win, or at least he's gonna win the people's vote.
Yeah, but I think it's this one above all. Above all, it's not my favorite Tarantino movie. I mean, that's a weird conversation to have because I love almost all of them. You know what I mean? It's depending on the day, but it's his best movie. It's his most. It's just his most kind of audacious, but also grounded at the same time. It's got wicked good performances. It's got all these different languages happening at once. It's just the most incredible thing that he's done, and that's obviously saying a ton. I've always been, super, super partial to his first 3 movies, or you could even say first 4, like the first half of his career. I've always been so obsessed with those, just the kind of raw nature of them. But if you're talking about a guy who's at the top of his craft, it's Bastards. Like he's done the work. He's done the Dogs, the Pulp, the Jackie Brown, the Kill Bills. And then he does some kind of wacky shit there in the mid 2000s. And then he's like, you know what? I know who I am. I'm going to make the best movie I've ever made. And I'm probably not going to top it. And he hasn't. I don't think he's come. I love, Django's great. Hateful Eight's great. I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He has not really come close to me and recapturing the brilliance of Bastards. It's his best movie.
He came really fucking close with Django, though. I
really
like Django.
I like Django, but I don't know. I don't know. There's something about Bastards that just the imagination, along with the actual history. It's mostly the different languages. Just commitment to that is just so fucking cool for a mainstream director to do.
I know it's so weird for a director to be like, my Germans speak German and my French people speak French. Like who'd have thought?
Yeah, the fact that that's cool is sad,
but it works. Like that the scene in the bar in the basement. Like I don't want that in English. It's so much more satisfying to be in German with the English soldier mispronouncing and them like the German soldier catching him. You need it for that. It's so perfect. But I'll say it like this. Bastards is the one I tend to go back to the most.
I've probably still seen Pulp Fiction the most, just off of it's the first one I saw, and
I tend to watch Kill Bill more. Like if it's on,
It's
I'll
short.
watch it. But
It's
if I
shorter.
yeah, that too. But if I'm ever like I feel like Tarantino, my first thought will be like, well, then put on Glorious Bastards. Like that's the first one I want to go to. So yeah, I think it is his masterpiece, and it is a fantastic movie, and did not get enough recognition this year.
No, like specifically at the Oscars, I agree. Like just lost too often. So let's just go ahead and jump to it. Best Picture. This is just not a great group. Hurt Locker takes the win. The other nominees are Avatar, The Blind Side. Like what a horrible start. Avatar and The Blind Side. Like, are you fucking serious? Best Picture? Don't you realize that means best movie? You fucking District 9, On Education, Inglourious Bastards, Precious, A Serious Man, Up, and Up in the Air. It's like half good, half bad.
Yeah, this was the first year where they decided to extend the invitation and make it
Oh, that's right. That's right.
between like 9 and 10 films. I didn't like it then, I don't like it now.
I tell you what, I don't like it.
I still have, obviously the Hurt Locker. I have not seen The Blind Side, In Education, or Precious.
Okay, so we need a proper showdown so you can knock those out someday.
Yeah, we got to do that. I own the Hurt Locker. I could do this like today. I just haven't.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, don't wait for the episode. Watch that movie.
I pretty much stopped doing that, so that won't be a problem.
Because yeah, I don't think it'll be anytime soon necessarily that we'll cover the Hurt Locker and do this year. But I do want to do it. I think it would be an interesting year.
Yeah.
I've seen all of these. It's been a minute for most of them. I'll just go down the line. Really like the Hurt Locker. Solid 8 out of 10. Avatar, Blind Side. Those are the weakest for me out of the group, like by far. After that, I like District 9. I think it's pretty good. On Education, don't remember that one too well. I was probably too young, so I need to rewatch it. Bastards, of course. Precious, very tough, very 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 tough, but pretty impactful. I adore A Serious Man. That would be second place for me behind Bastards. Up, good shit, quality shit. Is just the second. Yeah, just the second. Two out of 3 animated films to be up for Best Picture: Beauty and the Beast, Up, and then Toy Story 3. So it's kind of in a rarefied air there. And then Up in the Air, I like Up in the Air. It's not a Best Picture movie. Like I enjoy it a lot for what it is. If we're cutting this thing down to 5 with these movies, I go Hurt Locker, Bastards, A Serious Man, Up, and District 9.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go with you there. I don't want to change that at all. That's a good bunch.
I wouldn't mind seeing Crazy Heart in that mix. I like Crazy Heart a lot.
Yeah.
I
really liked A Single Man. I thought that
A Single Man's good. That's a good shout out. Yeah.
That was such a sad movie, but really good.
Yeah. Like, let's get the fucking Blind Side the hell out of there. Oh man, The Blind Side is one of the most infuriating movies I've ever sat through. They treated the main guy, Michael Orr, the actual football player. They made him look like a complete dumbass. And when he came out and said, "Whoa," like I'm still like in my 20s. Like you can't just fuck with my life like that in this movie. I was like, I'm with that guy. Yeah, just not my kind of movie. I don't like sports movies that just fuck everything up. It happens too often. 2009. There's got to be some fucking movies I'm just not. I mean, like there's random shit like Daddy Longlegs, the Safdie brothers movie, but like that's not coming near the fucking Oscars. There's movies I like Pirate Radio. That's not going anywhere near the Oscars, but I love it. You know what I mean?
Pirate Radio was so good. I love that In the Loop landed a screenplay nomination.
In the Loop, yes.
That is a fucking hilarious movie. In the Loop is one of the best political satires of all time.
Yeah, good shout. I love In the Loop. We've talked about that before, I feel like. Just
it comes up random. Whenever we go to 09, In the Loop inevitably comes up because I just love it. I feel like not enough people know about it.
In the Loop, was that was screenplay?
Yeah, adapted screenplay because it was based on a TV show.
Okay, so that's why we brought it up, because when we did Up in the Air, it was in the same category.
Yep, there it is.
Makes sense. And
Yeah.
I would give that award to either Up in the Air or In the Loop.
Nothing says best screenplay like the line "Kiss my sweaty balls, you fat fuck."
Yeah. Yeah. Well
That's,
fucking said.
that's magic right there.
Yeah, that is just brilliance. Dude, I'm going through. Good God, I'm going through the domestic box office from 2009. This is domestic, not worldwide or anything. So the list might be off, but you got your Avatar, your Harry Potter, Half Blood, Up, Twilight, The Hangover, Ice Age: Dawn of the Dinosaurs, X-Men Origins Wolverine, Night at the Museum, Battle of the Smithsonian, Fast and Furious, G.I. Joe: Rise of the Cobra, Taken. Paul Blart Mall Cop made a shit ton of money. Oh my God, dude. What a weird year. 2012. Oh, that's great. Gran Torino. Slumdog. Oh, Slumdog Millionaire technically is from the year before. Watchmen. Nice. I like Watchmen. I like that one.
Watchmen's good. Watchmen's good. I saw most of those in theaters.
Yeah, me too, man. I like vividly remember these experiences, and
I remember a weekend where my mom and I was still in Maryland at the time, and my mom and my grandma went on some trip or something. They were out of town, so it was just me and my grandpa, and we went to the movies twice in one weekend, which at the time was like a big deal for me. These days, it's like Saturday, but
yeah,
we saw Defiance.
Oh, yes,
which was great, and then we saw Paul Blart Mall Cop. Because I didn't know.
Palate cleanser, I get it. I totally get it. Let's see. I remember seeing some of these didn't like technically come out in 2009. I remember seeing Public Enemies and thinking it was so fucking badass. I was like, oh, this is sick, fucking Sweeney Todd versus Batman. Come on. And like I watch it now, I still kind of like it, but it's like not great. It's gotten shit on big time as time has gone on. But I remember thinking, those movies when you're 14 and you see certain stuff, you're just like, this is the sickest shit ever. And you rewatch it as a full blown adult, and you just got to kind of come back down to earth. I was the same way with Law Abiding Citizen. I used to think that movie was fucking kick ass. Then I rewatched it, a few years ago, and I was like, "This is fine. It's fine. It's not great."
I've been experiencing that a lot lately, revisiting some films I haven't seen in a long time, and realizing that my tastes have changed dramatically. And that's a cool moment where you're like, I have an instance of a movie I loved back then that I kind of don't really like anymore, and a movie I thought was boring back then that now I fucking adore. So
okay,
that was cool. I remember I took a friend to see 2012 because I love me some disaster porn.
Yeah. Oh yeah, in the theater, big Emmerich. Fucking bowl of popcorn.
Yeah. I want to see Roland Emmerich destroy Los Angeles as many times as I can.
Yeah. There you go.
That made like $800 million. Like, I'm not the only one who loves disaster porn.
Oh yeah, no, that movie's in the top 10 from the year. Yeah. Here's a personal favorite for both of us: Drag Me to Hell.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That thing still freaks me out. That's one of the scariest PG-13 horror movies of all time.
Yeah. It still blows me away that it's PG-13. Trying to see if there's any random shit here towards the bottom. No. I mean, Fantastic Mr. Fox. Oh boy. I guess this is a way to segue into our last little segment here of the episode, and we can get out of here. So before, we were doing this pretty regularly. We were kind of highlighting movies that we've kind of watched over the past week or so at the beginning of the show, and it kind of lost its footing just because we were doing more ambitious episodes where we needed as much time as we possibly could. I think it's good. Actually, I think it's good to do it at the beginning of the episode or the end. So we'll do it at the end here. Of course, I watched Avatar. I watched The Hurt Locker this past week. Just kind of remind me I hadn't seen it in a while, and I was like, yeah, this is a pretty good movie. I also watched Fantastic Mr. Fox. Great Wes Anderson movie. It in most years I think would have won Best Animated Feature, but it went against Up. That's like a really tough battle there. But man, that is a good movie. The soundtrack is so sick. The voice cast is so unique. George Clooney and Meryl Streep. Jason Schwartzman is batting 1,000% in that one. He's got his guys Bill Murray and Owen Wilson and those guys. Adrian Brody. Adrian Brody's in it for like he has like 4 lines, but he's like, hey, I get to go work with my buddy Wes. It just always feels like this community experience. Feels like a family coming together for like a reunion. They're like, let's make a movie together. Woohoo! They're just having a good old time. I wish I was a part of it. I just always am filled with joy after I watch a Wes Anderson movie. So I had to do that. Other than that, I've watched some Christmas stuff, some Christmas staples lately. I watched over the past week. I watched Home Alone 2, and Elf. Those are just kind of just fun shit that you got to do every year. But the one I really want to talk about with you is Speak No Evil.
Ooh, okay.
Man, I've been doing this huge project over the past year, and it's been fun to do, but it's mostly been for data for myself to kind of find out more about myself as a movie person at home. And I've been fucking, doing these monthly kind of logs, these like little diary every month, and I basically write down every movie, not TV show, not miniseries or whatever, like full on, either documentary or movie, feature length film, and I write them down. I write down what I watched it on, or what it's available on, and then I give it like a score or whatever, 1 through 10. And I started doing it last December, and I'm gonna end it this December. This is gonna be the last one I do. So I'm kind of giving it, the full 2022 experience. Like what was I using the most? Criterion I've watched about 70 movies on that streaming service throughout the year. That's number one. I've watched like 50 something on HBO Max. I've watched some on Netflix, some on Hulu, Showtime. Did kind of what I thought would happen. The one that just kind of seemed to just miss the boat completely was Shudder. I went to Shudder one time in the whole year, and it was this recent movie, Speak No Evil, this movie that came out this year, 2022. This wicked, nasty, dark Danish/Dutch movie that like completely fucked with me, and like did exactly what I needed for me to kind of be reinvigorated with horror. This year, we've had the sci-fi horror movie Nope. We've had the Barbarian and Smile and Violent Night, and all these kind of gems, right? And Speak No Evil is right there with those for me. Is a total gem that I've definitely told a lot of people about. Whether they're going to watch it or not, that's up to them. I don't know. It's pretty grisly. But what I'm trying to get to, and what I'm saying, and what I've learned about this process is I need to use Shudder more, motherfucker. Like I need to use that service more. I tend to give myself too many things to watch in my mind. I don't have a list of stuff like, oh, I need to get to this. But when I sit down at night, my daughter's in bed. I'm sitting down right in front of my TV, and I'm ready to watch a movie. I have too many things. Oh, I got to get to this. If I don't get to it, it's I haven't accomplished anything. What I want to learn to start doing is just sit down and just go with what you feel. Like what exactly are you feeling right now? You don't have to cross anything off a list. You don't have to knock out a classic. Just go with what you feel like right now, right here, right now. And most of the time, if I'm truly being honest with myself, is like, well, I want to watch a horror movie, But I have all these other eclectic interests when it comes to movies that it kind of gets in the way. They kind of go at each other. And sometimes I'll end up being like, fuck it, I'm just gonna watch something sports related, like a basketball game or soccer game or whatever, and I end up not watching a movie at all. My true joy lies within movies. My true joy. I love sports, but I am in love with movies. And with all that being said, I need to use Shutter more this year, this upcoming year. I need to try to not look at it as a secondary streaming service, but like a streaming service that is there for me to use. You've given me the go ahead to use it. You're the one who pays for it. I believe it's like fucking $5 a month. I should be utilizing that. You know what I mean? That's what I've learned mostly about tracking this stuff is like I have just not used Shutter like at all. That wasn't really the case a couple of years ago. I used a lot. I was watching, Takashi Miike films on there. I was watching other like foreign horror movies. I don't know what it was throughout this past year where I was just not going there. I might have been giving myself too much prep for this podcast, to where I was kind of always using my spare time for this, and I want to kind of go, take a step back from that and start going back to what I really love the most, which is horror. That's what I've learned, man, in the past year about doing this whole project. Like that was like the main point of doing it, I think, was to realize I don't have to go to Criterion every goddamn time. I can go to other stuff too.
I'm glad you had that moment. Shudder has evolved into one of the most reliable sources of insanely creative original horror films. And this year they have churned out some epic shit. I had a similar epiphany about Shudder earlier this year, and I've relied almost entirely on Caleb's recommendations for what I should watch. And he has been on the money pretty much every time. He's the one who told me to check out The Sadness. He told me to watch The Spine of Night. He told me to watch Christmas, Bloody Christmas. Speak No Evil, I think, might have came from him too. And it's all been just gold, original gold that you can only watch there.
Yeah.
And you can get, like, if you look hard enough, you can get the Blu-ray too, which he does, which is weird because he has the Blu-ray and Shudder. It's like, that's never leaving Shudder, but you also have the Blu-ray. I don't have time to get into that. But
he loves his physical stuff. Yeah.
I get it. I love it too. But yeah, Shudder is starting to become one of my favorites, and I love what they offer. I love what they have. And I know you're gonna find some cool shit. I know The Sadness is coming up for you, one that you want to check out. That's the most depraved, nightmarish zombie film I've ever seen in my life, and it's not gonna leave your head.
Good. This is what I need. What past week or so, aside from seeing Avatar in theaters, what else have you gotten into?
I've been embarking on a project of my own. So I have what is colloquially known as a shit ton of films that I own personally. I have a giant Blu-ray collection. I have a giant DVD collection, and it is entirely because when it comes to purchasing films, I have a serious impulse control problem that I refuse to address. I bought 7 more today after buying like 6 yesterday. I will not stop because this makes me happy. But
where do they all go?
I always wonder why I don't have a lot of money. This is why. But I was looking through my collection and I realized I haven't fucking seen a lot of these. I just buy, I shelf, I move on. So I decided if I'm going to own these fuckers, I want to see them. I want to watch these things. I want to write them off my list. So I've just started alphabetically, working my way through the numbers and the A's, and I'm watching my Blu-rays that I have either not seen or never reviewed. Because if I haven't reviewed them, that means I haven't seen them in 8 years.
All right, let's hear what you got so far.
I started with 3:10 to Yuma.
Oh,
fucking adore that movie still. Nothing's changed.
Yeah, just
fantastic.
Fucking sick. Yeah.
I did come to realize that it had quite a big subconscious influence on my own work, which made me laugh the whole time. I followed that with 28 Weeks Later.
Nice.
Which I forgot how fucking solid that movie is. It's such a great sequel.
It just has, it has 28 Days Later, looming over it. It's like,
Yeah,
that's not fair. That's not fair.
it's hard to follow such a perfect act like that. But, giving us a new group of characters, showing us, the reconstruction of London and how that fails miserably due to a new strain of the virus. It's like, yeah, fucking sign me up. I love it. And people who weren't quite super famous yet keep popping up in that. Jeremy Renner, for instance,
Yeah.
Rose Byrne, Idris Elba. We got a great role by Robert Carlyle. Like, it's great. I really wish that the right people would talk to each other so we could get the third film finally. Then I watched the A-Team.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't care for it, like, at all. I really liked this when I saw this in 2010, when I was 15 and didn't know any better. And I was just like, oh, this is cool. I started to nod off. I was like, this is just an espionage thriller from 2003 that they shoved the A-Team into.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even like this. So that was a moment where I'm like, okay, I have changed. This is giving me an interesting, like, personal reflection of who I've become, which is cool.
For sure. Yeah. No, this is a really, really good way to reflect.
Yeah. I followed that with Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Let's go.
And also was like, this is terrible. This is not great. It's fun, but it's not great. It's also doesn't make a damn lick of sense because it tries to basically shove the entire Civil War into a decent vampire Western. And it just he becomes president because he has to. Like, it's like he's hunting vampires and all of a sudden he's like, oh shit, I got to run for office. And then he's the president. It was so weird. But fun. And then I watched American Gangster.
Fine film.
Oh my God. I didn't care for this. I saw this in 2007. I thought it was long. I thought it was boring. I want to kick 2007 Connor in the balls because he was an idiot. He wasn't paying attention.
12.
He wasn't paying attention.
You were a kid. 15 years ago.
There's no excuse.
You were just
quality is quality. I intended to watch. This is about 2.5 hours long. I intended to watch half of it. I started at like 2 a.m. I couldn't stop. I just kept going. I was just like, oh wow! Like the whole time I was just glued. I don't think I blinked maybe like 3 times. And it's such a fantastic movie. It's such a brilliant gangster movie. Denzel versus Crow. Like, holy shit. And has some incredible moments of just pure, nut flexing. Just look how badass I am. I wish I'd seen this when we did our Ridley Scott thing because I wish I'd brought this up. Oh.
No, the Ridley Scott thing with Caleb, where y'all did like top 10, right?
Oh yeah, that was on that show. I thought we did that for Black Hawk Down. No, we did that for House of Gucci. But yes, I wish I'd had that for then, because this might be my new favorite, like 2000s Ridley Scott movie. This thing is badass. I gave it a 9. Went from a 7 to a 9. I skipped 8. I never skip 8.
Yeah, 8's the threshold. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I really, really like that movie. A couple of Oscar nominations, Best Actress in a Supporting Role and Art Direction. I cannot believe Denzel didn't get a nomination here. It's just crazy. Which would be so badass because he'd be going against our guy Daniel Day-Lewis.
He'd still lose, regrettably, but it'd be cool to see him.
Yeah. I mean, no one in the history of Oscars is the only guy who might be able to beat Daniel Day-Lewis as Daniel Plainview is Burt Lancaster as Elmer Gantry. That might be the only scenario.
You just got to grab the building block.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm enjoying this project. I finally have some fucking time to breathe after this insane semester that nearly drove me into madness. So now I'm just going through American Psycho's next as soon as I get to go back to my place and take over my movies again. And I'm loving this. I'm finding, old films that I always thought I liked, I don't like anymore. And old films that I might not have cared for, I now see something in, which tells me a lot about who I've evolved thanks to just a constant stream of cinema.
Yeah. That's like one of the, what's the word? One what do you call it? Fucking, I guess it's like one of the mottos of Oscar Sunday is and filmgasm. It's kind of what we've built our friendship upon with movies. It's like just don't ever turn your back on the past. Maybe through the past, but the past ain't through with us.
Damn
And
right.
and when you rewatch movies, you could just everything can change everything, and even even if you like something, it's every feeling is good. Is you watch something that you're like, oh, this is fine. And you're like, actually, no, it's not. That's a good feeling because you're like, oh, that solidifies change. If it's for you, like American Gangster, it solidifies growth. And if it's a movie that you said this is great and it's still great, it solidifies your taste. It's like that feels good too. All three of those feel fantastic. You rewatch something that you love and you still love it for the 90th time. You're like, I know myself. I know who I am. But it's also good to add little pieces to yourself. So the American Gangster piece is great. It's a fantastic movie. 2007, just totally stacked year. Imagine if that would have been up for Best Picture.
It fucking should have been. It's an incredible
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
Uh,
If you could slot in Zodiac, American Gangster, and what's the other one we always talk about? 310 to Yuma. Like, come on, come on, you know. And you still have There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men. It'd just be the ultimate dude. Like, fuck yeah, like category of all time.
it. I mean, I can't see an argument against it. They're such. All five of those are fucking phenomenal movies, regardless of who the intended audience is. I mean, come on.
Dudes, yeah, dudes. Yeah, and it's Fincher, Cohen's, Ridley Scott, Paul Thomas Anderson, and James Mangold. Fuck out of here! Sign me up. I could go to a deserted island and live with those five movies forever. They're that good. And they represent the year. So yeah, I'm really glad you had American Gangster. It's got some of my favorite Denzel moments of all time. It's got some underrated Russell Crowe stuff going on. You texted me this, but one of the most impressive casts as it just continues to move forward. You're like, is that John Hawkes? What is he doing here? Is that Ted Levine? Like,
Yeah,
like what? How do they get all these people? Ruby D. Like, how do they get all these fuckers to be in this movie?
yeah. Chiwetel Ejiofor is his like younger brother. Fucking
Yeah,
Common pops in at one point.
Cuba Gooding Jr. Yeah, it's just fucking nutty. Yeah, like I adore that movie, man. Idris Elba, the scene with Idris Elba in the street, just fuck off. Like one of the coolest things ever.
Some fantastic last words. What are you going to shoot me right in front of everyone? Come on, boom.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. The last.
that is fucking. Oh man, and I love that there are zero consequences to that for the rest of the movie. It's just no one's going to tell on Frank Lucas. Like,
Yeah,
goddamn,
yeah.
that's
I
power.
would, I wouldn't tell on him either. That guy's fucking scary.
Fantastic. Yeah, I want to do that on Fake True Stories because Frank Lucas was real. Like this was
Ooh,
all
yeah.
based in fact. I would love to explore the real Frank Lucas and the corruption of New York's drug enforcement cops in the 70s.
I like that. I really like the Denzel playing a monster. I love that because Denzel's always been this kind of stand-up guy. He's always been someone who's talked about like he's a man of faith and he's a man who has like serious integrity. I remember watching interviews of him talk about playing Frank Lucas, and he was like, "Look, I am not cool with the man. I am not cool with what he did. I'm playing a character. I'm gonna try to do it justice, but I do not approve one thing that this man represented." And he told that at the time. Frank Lucas was alive when the movie was in production and whatnot, and he told that like to his face. Frank Lucas, he's like you deserved what you got. Eventually. And that's like the power of Denzel. I love when that scene. I need to rewatch this movie too. I've seen it a handful of times. It's got that. It's got a fucking really cool Jay-Z soundtrack that you can buy. It's It's like all Jay-Z songs. It's fucking sick. But there's a scene where Frank Lucas is like talking about a rug or something, and he's like, "Don't rub that, blot it. That's a
Yeah.
$25,000." You know,
Yeah.
uh, so awesome.
I was like, speaking of the soundtrack, yeah, Across 110th Street pops in at one point in that
Yep,
movie. And
has to. Yeah,
I was just like, that just makes me think of you now.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And it's weird that they would think like, Denzel Washington playing a mobster would he's not endorsing that. Like, I didn't like, did people say the same thing to, Ray Liotta when he played Henry Hill?
Yeah. Oh, true, truth. Oh, Goodfellas would be a crazy fake true stories.
I am so torn. There's certain at movies where I'm like, would that be a better fake true stories, or would that sort of be Oscar Sunday? It's like, who do I want to talk to about this? Is really where it comes down to.
What's good about these two shows is we very rarely go into the truth of
That's true.
a movie on here. Like I'm not about to do what Isabel does.
I'm not about to do what Isabel does. The level of research she does is fucking amazing.
Yeah, she's her own like freak of nature in that realm. If we're doing American Gangster, I'm talking about how fucking badass Denzel is. I'm not.
That's true.
So like if we're doing Goodfellas, we just gotta space it out. We'll do our own take on Goodfellas, and then a couple years later, you guys do Goodfellas your own way. So
that's true.
I don't see. I think we've done a really good job of taking movies from Filmgasm and putting them on here because it's a different conversation. All in all, we're surrounding it around the ceremony and the awards that we give it. I don't know. I kind of like that we get to redo movies on different shows. I think it's really unique.
It's a good point. And I think it's just like, I think we brought up Titanic, and my immediate thought is that's a Best Picture winner. So like, I got to turn that off because I'm like, well, we're not talking about it over here. We're talking about it over there.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
But yeah, it's been a fun time getting to just kind of disappear, watch 3 movies in a day. I haven't got to do that in a long time. And this feels good, especially it's the calm before the storm, because as soon as January rolls around, I got 3 months to write the biggest thing I've ever written. So
back to the grind. Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy the holidays and just turn off for a while.
Yeah. Well, you still got a couple weeks. So soak it up, watch some stuff. I'm going to try to commit myself to watching more Shudder stuff over the next year. Starting with The Sadness. So I'm excited to watch that. Before the year ends. I definitely want to get that in before the year ends because I think it could be on my end of the year list for my favorite movies from 2022. This is fun. Very rarely do we do a movie that we both don't have a whole lot of great feelings about. All in all, I give Avatar a 5 out of 10. Just think it's not great, Bob.
I'm gonna stick with my 7.
Fair enough.
All right.
Fair enough.
It looks incredible.
It does. That's why I give it half. I get half the points. The other half is gone because the story's shit.
Fair. Yeah. All right. 6. Okay. 6. I got some editing to do on the website.
Just bullied you into the corner.
You're not wrong though. It's like, yeah, I can't shit on it for 2 hours and then just be like, it's pretty good. I can't do that.
Yeah, I've always looked at 5 as like just completely average, right down the middle. It's fine. It's whatever. Take it or leave it. Don't really need it. 6 is like, there's a couple things that I like. 7's like, hey, this is fine. It's not good, but it's fine. 8 is where you get to the movies. Hey, I actually like this. There's some cool shit going on here. And then 9 and 10 is like, yeah, we're getting into special territory. It's a movie I legitimately enjoy and I want to endorse and talk about. So I've always looked at it that way. 5 is just kind of if it's below 5, it's like, sorry, buddy. That's for like the anchors away and the fannies. Like, see you later. Don't want to ever talk about you again.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I'm that, but like 1 point above. Like to me, 6 is average. It could have been something better. 7 is good, but you're missing something. 8 is really good. I enjoyed it. And 9 and 10 are just, masterpieces.
Okay, yeah. So we're close. We're close in that kind of interpretation. I like that. Like that a lot. Man, this week is going to be cool on our shows. We got. This is like a really cool three movie run. Obviously, it's Christmas week. This episode, if you're listening today, is released on December 18th. So a week from today will be fucking Christmas Day. We will have an episode on Christmas Day, my friends. We will. Before that, though, on Wednesday, episode 220 on Filmgazm. Crazy. We're doing Krampus the Naughty Cut. That's going to be, I feel like a few people are going to be on that one.
That's going to be, currently, it's Colton and Caleb are going to be joining me. Josh, regrettably, has a scheduling conflict. But it's going to be fun. Last time we did Krampus, could have been better. So
yeah.
We're going to do the director's cut as an excuse to just go back in and do Krampus with the right crowd.
Yeah, totally agree. And yeah, it's a great movie to do the week of Christmas, on Filmgazm. It's like the definition of, a Christmas horror movie. So perfect. This is great. This I will be listening to. I will be tuning in because I have seen this movie. Episode 51. Jesus Christ, that went fast. Good night. Beyond the Bad's almost been around for a whole year. On Friday, Black Christmas, the remake from 2019. Just a dog pile of shit. Like, it's just a pile of dog shit. I even messed up the term because I was, this movie's so bad. A pile of dog shit is Black Christmas, but it's so bad it's funny. It's so bad that you can't help but laugh and have a good time making fun of this horrible movie. So this is perfect for this show. Perfect for Beyond the Bad. Take a through and through classic Black Christmas from the 70s. Take the remake, put it on Beyond the Bad, have some fun just tearing it to pieces. I can't wait for that episode.
I have heard so many people tear this movie to shreds that I'm not like, I know it's going to be a fun episode, but I feel like watching it is going to be a chore.
Yeah, but like whatever, it's shit. So like just have fun. Just have fun laughing at the joke, the travesty that is Black Christmas 2019. It's so bad.
Caleb has like singled this movie out so many times on Beyond the Bad. It just comes up randomly. It's like it's a hate boner for which there's no relief. It really is crazy. I think when he put the schedule together, this was the first thing he wrote down. He's like, "We're tearing this movie up in Christmas." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So it has come. I don't expect to say much because I know Caleb has quite a lot to say about this movie.
If I could, I can't. But if I could, this is one that I would be on as well because I think it's just a hilarious movie because it's so bad. Like Brianna and I watched it and we just had fun because it's so bad. It was one of those, it's one of those that you're just like, you just, as a viewer, you just give up. You're like, this is just terrible.
It's, I think to date, the only one that Caleb has ever given on a review.
Yeah, no, I definitely give this movie a 1 or 2. Yeah, it's just something else. Rarefied air, my friends. So that's on Friday. Can't wait for that. And then on Christmas Day, Sunday, Connor and I will be tackling maybe the most iconic, classic Christmas movie, It's a Wonderful Life, 1946. 19th Academy Awards. We've been there before. We're going back again for a fantastic movie. Jimmy Stewart at his apex. Can't wait for that, man. It's going to be really cool to do a Christmas Day episode. Of course, we'll record on either Friday or Saturday, so we'll spend our actual Christmas Day with our families, but we will have content out if you are interested in listening to a couple guys definitely praise a movie from the 40s. This is just one of those staples of every Christmas you got to watch It's a Wonderful Life. So we feel like it's right to cover it on this show. I want to say the first Christmas we had on Oscar Sunday, we did Die Hard, right?
Yep.
Last year, Home Alone. We did Home Alone last year. We're kind of knocking out like massive movies that have Oscar nominations for Christmas. It just so happens that it falls on Christmas Day. Pretty cool. I can't wait, man. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good to do a movie we both are on the same page that we both like a lot after Avatar. So, yeah, this is fun though. This is fun. I had a good time. We also got to talk about American Gangster, so I'm good. I'm good with that. Uh, you guys keep listening to us. Keep following us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Check out the website as Connor shreds these reviews over the next couple weeks while he's just knocking movies off of his shelf. It's been a lot of fun to get the text messages from you, like what you're doing next, and I love that. I think it's a really cool project. I should at some point do that myself because there are movies on my shelf that are just there, and I either haven't seen them or I haven't, like you said, haven't seen them in 10 years. So it's a great project. I'll keep my word. I'll get to Shutter. I'll get to Shutter more often. Other than that, I don't have anything else to say. About Avatar and the Way of Water and the the way of Navi and all that jazz. But keep watching movies, guys, and we'll see you on Wednesday.